Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. I wanted to talk about the importance of a support group. How can you find a support group before you even get here? Well, there are many expat sites that you can go to. Now, a word of caution, as I always do with expat sites, and that is that they do tend to attract a lot of moaning minis. You see a lot of griping on there, and you have to keep yourself above the negativity that is often on this, because it's a shame that there is a lot of griping and negativity, because there are some really good guys on there posting really valid, important, useful information. And it is one of those things that on some of those sites you can post a question saying, how do I do this? And you'll get 20, 30, 40 responses, of which the majority will be in real useful language. So be warned, but at the same time understand that the information that is available to you on a lot of sites will be very good. So that's something that you need to, at the same time as being forewarned, you know that you are being forearmed, because you'll have a great deal of information, and some of it is absolutely up to date. You know that you'll find somebody on one of these sites will say, just been to immigration to renew this visa or that visa, and it went like this. So there you'll find good information. Now, the thing is that you must find like-minded people. This I feel is very important, and I always try and stress the importance of this, because there's no point in being landed into the middle of a nest of vipers, and certainly they are there if you're not treading carefully. So you really need to find the kind of tone level in any one of these sites that you go to which suits you. Now, one man may decide that he faces reality with firm resolve, and his sense of reality may be so far away from yours as to be in another world. It'll be a case of same planet, different world. So you really have to find someone who speaks the same language and who actually thinks in a similar way to you. Now, the ideal situation would be someone who is established there, is of a, well, let's look at the ideal scene, would be of similar spiritual beliefs as yourself, is doing perhaps the same kind of thing with his little piece of paradise as you intend to do with yours. Like if you're a motor buff and you can find someone who actually adores getting underneath a vehicle and working out the problems, well, you've lucked out. And if you find someone who is interested in being involved in his church, then if that's what you do, then that is a very useful thing. What I have found, even though most people will know that I am not what I call religious, I believe, a spiritual person, and I believe in doing good, I believe in helping, I believe in that my time of life is meant for this, and I feel that I've found my mission, and I'm occupied fully in doing that. Now, there will be times when you need someone who is of like mind. If you need to talk over a problem, if you have an issue, and you just need someone to sit there and say, okay, right, got it, yes, understand, okay, fine, thanks for sharing. If you need someone like that, then it's good if you have someone like that. And so often, someone of a different culture may not quite understand the way that you are putting it. For instance, I think it would be fair to say that the average Filipino would not understand the kind of way that us Westerners, us foreigners and expats stress about the smallest thing. So it is good to have a support group. Now, if you can establish connections with people that are in a particular kind of vlog, this is a good start. Now, a long time ago, my now friend and now neighbour Brian got in touch with me, and as just by virtue of the fact that he was looking at our channel, he actually communicated to me, and whenever I get a message, I always respond to messages, and if I don't, just by the way, if I don't respond, it usually means that the message or the email in particular has got lost in with another 15 or 16,000 other emails which I haven't yet got round to deleting. So if you're waiting on a response and it hasn't come, then get in touch again and just persevere a little, because I have found some good friendships. I've made some good relationships that I think will be lifelong, and that's unusual, because in my life I've always thought of that saying that at the end of your life, if you can count your good friends on one hand, you will have been a lucky man. So I'm actually, in that case, I am a lucky man, because I've found good relationships, and the way that it's worked out, quite a few of them will become my neighbours. So how will I benefit from this? It will be a symbiotic relationship. I will be helping them, they will be helping me, and it will come about. Not just that, but just being able to stop on your way to town for me, at Brian's, and go down there a mile or 2 mile long road and sit and have a cup of coffee and just chat. And it helps. It makes life a little smoother and a little easier. I look to my other work, which is also, in a way, is networking and is the formation of a support group, and I look to my Sunday driving job as being something which hooks me up with, joins me, glues me to my community, to my neighbourhood. And because of what I've been doing now for, it must be over a year, my Sunday driving job, or thereabouts, my Sunday driving job means that I contribute the use of my truck, and I go and I overload it without mercy, and I pick people up from where they're waiting to come to church, and I bring them to church and I drop them off, and as soon as I drop them off I go and get another load from another direction and another barangay. And it is a joy to me to do this. I can't tell you. You might think that driving a load of people around who don't speak the same language as you and you can't actually really talk to that well, as being quite a, I don't know, a chore. But believe me, it's not. Just to narrate how it can go. Today, I went out today, and in among the other things of getting my 2 vehicles repaired and talking to Nestor and coming back, I ended up back at the church after the service, and everybody loaded into my truck, and then what do I know? I'm just a driver. Who am I taking home today? And out comes the answer, Tulang. Well, off we go to Tulang. But before we did that, I said, well, I noticed there are people here who are not just from Tulang. So then they come up and they say, Atafi? Well, Atafi is about another 6 or 8 kilometers on, whereas Tulang is just down the road. So that's an easy one, but taking people to Atafi takes a little while. But that's my job, and I do it. So at various points somebody will hammer on the roof of the truck, and I would stop, and a few people, I'll look in my driver's mirror, and a few people will get out and wave goodbye and thank you, salamat, and then I'll drive on again. And then a little while later there'll be another hammering on the roof of the truck. I'll stop again as soon as I can safely, and a few more people will get off, until finally we get to Atafi, which is the last stop. And banging on the roof again, and I stop, and I see 5 or 6 or 7 people get out and start to walk towards the barangay, and they stop and wave, and it's a feel-good situation. But then as I'm driving along, I realise that the truck is still packed with kids. And other than Talik, who is 12, going on 13, she is often my guide, and because sometimes when we're driving along we might see some people who belong to the church and have set out on their own to get home. Well, we stop and pick them up and take them a little way, and she usually knows. My question is, are these ours? And she'll say yes or no. So she's the oldest, other than me, who is in the truck. And the rest are all about 6 or maybe 7 or 8. And they're all in there. And I said to Talik, well, where are these kids from? And she says, Burgos. Well, we passed Burgos, was one of the first places that we passed, because that's where the church is. When I look around, I see that I know all of the faces. Little girls of about 6 or 5 even, and they're all in there. I have baby Jane in there, and her sisters, and well, when I went to pick up baby Jane today, there were her 2 sisters, and when I got back to the truck, carrying baby Jane because of her broken leg, which she's still not too confident about stepping on, there's about 5 or 6 kids in there. So anyway, I know that they're all going to church, so off we go, and we go on to the next one and to the next one. Well, it turns out that actually the adults are going from A to B, and then later from B to A. But the kids just like to drive in the truck. So I have joyriders, and it turns out that 12 of the people that I've had crammed into the truck are joyriders. They just want to come and have fun and drive in a truck. That's okay with me. And I look around, and they're all beautiful kids, and they're all laughing, and they're all having a great time. How bad can that be? So I get great joy from that, and I count that as part of my support group, because if ever I was feeling down, which is actually is very rare, I feel up most of the time, and if I don't feel up, I make sure that I do something, some little trick to get myself feeling up. Okay, and that doesn't involve drinks or tandoori. So I feel that they are part of my support group, that the people, the moms and dads that I take, the various adults that usually accompany the kids, and they really need a ride into church, and that seems like a good way to spend a Sunday. And it usually takes about until maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is just great for me. I do it happily, and I do it regularly, and it's my responsibility to get those kids and those few adults, those grandmas, and sometimes a pregnant lady, and I get them to the church on time, or closer in Filipino time. So it's important to have a support group. It's important to try to find your place in among like-minded people who initially are not Filipino. That will come. If you take part in your community, it will come. And especially if you get off your butt in a much more constructive way than I've managed to do, and learn the language, which I am trying. you will integrate even more, and you will get so much more pleasure from being with the people that are in your life, the new people that are in your new life. Good luck on this. You need to move in a constructive way, find out what you can about the area that you're living in, and if you can, go and visit there before you ever do anything about settling, and see if you can find. All you have to do is go to town, go to the nearest town and walk around, and you'll see other foreigners and you can talk to them. Keep a clear head, right? Because there will be some who will be moaning minis, and the last thing that you need is to hear all of that, because usually it's ill-founded and it's got nothing to do with you and your intention to be happy in a happy place. So, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. It's important to have support both for you and for others. You can be a good friend to someone else. That's another aspect of being in a place where you will be helped, where you will be supported. You're part of a group and you are doing your thing for them as well. And that's usually the first part of that little formula, is that you go in and just try to find a way that you can help. Go and find someone that you can help. And don't be shy about offering the help, even if it's on your hand on the shoulder, or a smile, or a hello, or I don't know. If you go in, this is very, very simple. If you keep going in the same place, the same store, or the same little place, and you meet the same people, you meet the same group of usually meet the same group of young ladies, and they'll be in there, and they'll be very nice to you every time that you go in, if you have a smile on your face. And if you just go in and buy a few pesos worth of bread, and take it in and say, this is for you, they will be so overwhelmed with this simple act of kindness, and you'll feel wonderful. So, that's my little formula, that's my recipe for feeling good. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.